Welcome to the Movie Draft Podcast. I'm Ethan Simi, and today I am joined by my incredible co-host, Sophie Holsinger.
Hey, guys.
And returning guest, Kevin Mikos.
Yeah, thank you for reversing my lifetime ban from the podcast.
Kind of forgot that I instituted that, to be honest. You're such a sweet talker in the DMs. And today we are drafting Oscar Nominated Screenplays in a regular style draft. Kevin, I'll start with you. Welcome back to the pod. I was unaware that I permanently banned you, and quite honestly, I feel like this whole pod is mired now. This is a problem.
Oh gosh, I shouldn't have brought it up. I remember everything that's said about me. So
yeah, but it's good to know. Like, I hold so much space, in your head and your heart.
Yeah.
First, you came on for original screenplays, then adapted. Came on for a couple other pods as well. But now we're doing a mix of both. We're doing Oscar nominated screenplays. This has been in the works for a while. I feel like this has been on the calendar for a bit. Welcome to the pod. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm excited because we get a little mix of screenplays here, and also as somebody who over prepares, it's nice to have like a set number of movies. When we did original and adapted, it was just every movie I've ever seen, but the Oscar nominees give me like a real list of my options, so that makes it easier for a guy like me.
I'm glad that we could support in your journey here, and hopefully it pans out well. Sophie, hi, hello. I still called you a co-host of the show. Is that okay? I feel like I messed up.
No, that's okay. I mean, yeah, I'm an honorary co-host forever.
Yeah. You're very like Chris Ryan third chair status here, where you're just like kind of
totally.
you're always around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have not been on at all this year. This is your first episode of 2025.
Indeed.
Are you prepared to draft? Do you think you've lost your edge here? Or are you coming back to take the crown?
I don't know if I've lost my edge, but I feel like I'm coming into this with a different headspace. Like I'm kind of doing this for me now,
Okay. You were doing it for the people before, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. No, sounds good. Yeah, that's an interesting strategy. The last episode you were on was the 2024 revisited, the 2024 auction. Revisited. That was a good pod. I don't recall who won. Actually, I'm trying to look it up right now as we go through. Let's see. 2024 year end. Fuck, it was you. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough beat for the show. Went out on a high note, maybe coming back in on a high note. But we shall see. Okay. So Kevin, you mentioned we've talked about screenplays before here on this pod, of course. We've done original, we've done adapted. I kind of always try to have like a lead-in question before we get to drafting, and something to kind of talk about and stoke the fire a little bit. We've kind of talked about all of those things and how we feel and what we look for in a screenplay. This is kind of, I guess, directly/indirectly tied to the Academy Awards that are going to be happening, of course. We do have this episode. We haven't recorded it, but at time that you'll hear this episode, last week we had the 2025 Oscar Best Picture nominees collaborative draft. So we're doing a little bit of celebration here on the show. How do you feel about nominations this year? Screenplays or otherwise? Maybe just some general Academy Awards thoughts.
Right. I probably have too many thoughts if we were going to get broad with the whole Oscars, but
sure.
Screenplay wise, I think they mostly did okay. I think the notable exemptions going off of just stuff that actually had a chance in award season, if I'm being realistic, was that Justin Kuritsky's probably should have been respected for either of his screenplays. And Hard Truths was like a really embarrassing omission. I'm kind of still like riding enough of a high knowing that they included the Nickel Boy screenplay, which I thought they might not. Not my favorite nominees. I know everybody kind of universally hates stuff like Amelia Perez, so don't even have to talk about that. But for the most part, I think this year's Oscars are kind of exciting. I think there's stuff to enjoy this year. I'm looking forward to it maybe more than last year and maybe even some of the other recent years. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's a good sentiment to share. I do think this year is obviously far more up in the air than last year was, the year of Oppenheimer and Barbie. And I guess you could probably throw Poor Things in there as well, a little bit more of a question mark, but like it was kind of a gauntlet last year of things that we knew was going to happen. This year, far less so. Sophie, I honestly, since you're not on the pod so much, you're a little bit of a mysterious online presence. I don't know how you feel about this year's Academy Awards. I'm just like, I'm searching for the truth, the first crack at the truth here.
Well, to be honest, I'm a little bit bored with Oscars this year.
See, this is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because I do pay such close attention like throughout all of award season these days, but nothing really seemed like fun about these nominations to me. I mean, I think the substance in screenplay is fun and different. I like that A Real Pain made it because I think the screenplay is what sticks out to me more. Like, I don't know. I don't think it really deserves to be in the Best Picture conversation, so I was glad to see it here. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Kevin. Like, I think Hard Truths is a screenplay that I really connected with, so sad to not see it be represented. But at the same time, screenplays I love, like Sing Sing, made it. So I don't know. Yeah. A little bit here, a little bit there. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Yeah, and that is another way to like kind of approach this is like there is a lot. I would say like 80% of this is like pretty meh of like in terms of nominees and potential races that are like really exhilarating to watch. The races that are kind of like decided are really uninteresting, I feel like. And the very few number that are up in the air there's just like, they're so completely unknown. Pew, pew, water guns. That like, it's hard. It's hard to be excited. Like it is kind of, you could veer one way or the other. You could veer towards like great excitement of like, wow, anything can happen. Or like, okay, this is kind of boring because like we can't put our pulse on anything at all. And so I totally understand that. I think that this year, like in terms of screenplay specifically for what we're looking at, I'll just quickly like read what's out there for a quick refresher. Original screenplay is Anora the Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, a movie that like nobody has seen. I want to see this film and I like can't figure out how to do it. And The Substance. Best Adapted Screenplay, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. I think there's some exciting stuff. You guys mentioned Nickel Boys, Sing Sing. I think The Substance and original screenplay is like really cool. And I really like that. And if people are interested in that, you can check out the screenplay. It's online. It's not written, as far as I know. Kevin, help me out. But like, it's written in a very, very strange fashion.
I see. My thing is after getting my lifetime ban lifted, I don't know that I want to
yeah, you better tread lightly.
I don't know that I want to piss off so many listeners who probably might have a negative opinion of me already. But if I were going to call any screenplays out, just based on what I've read as a reader of screenplays, not crazy about The Substance nomination. It's not the worst nominated screenplay on the board, but it's not my favorite either. But again, this is just one guy.
Who had just reinstituted his lifetime ban on this pod. Unfortunately, sorry. It was a good 8-minute run. It was a good 8-minute run.
Yeah. Listen, I was trying to tread lightly earlier when we started talking about the Oscar nominations. I was like, I won't give away too much. I don't want people to hate me. But you know what? The little too many substance mentions for me to not speak of.
That's fair. I think in a year like last year, if The Substance were to be included in that lot, I think we talk about The Substance a lot less because there's so many strong contenders. This year not being the strong contenders, I think we're looking for exciting / interesting potential upsets. And I think that's, at least for me, that's like where something like The Substance comes in.
It's ultimately like a positive. It's like The Substance being Oscar nominated is ultimately a positive. It's not my favorite movie in the world. It does mean something good in the long run, though.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So you're trying to claw your way back is what's
no. Right? I genuinely think this. I genuinely think it's a good thing for The Substance to get recognized. I wish it was another movie that was making similar progress, but it just happens to be happening with The Substance, which is fine. You know, we need it anyway.
Sure. it seems to me that this year is like pretty divisive in terms of like a broad appeal movie and a cinephile movie. And then it's like a hard cut, at least for like us, how we feel, the community, the film Twitter community at large, which I think is really interesting. Do you guys have anything else to say? You guys want to talk about anything else? I mean, like, we're going to draft. We have some specific rules for this draft, but before we get into them, do you have anything else you want to put out into the world?
I will say on the broad appeal front, it's a good thing that you bring that up because there's stuff like The Brutalist as well, which is like we thought would be the kind of like uniform everybody in the Academy votes for kind of thing. But then it's also now becoming the coworker movie where like all your coworkers show up to work and they're just like, saw The Brutalist, that sucked. I hated it. So
that was a sick
like, I don't know
Twitter.
that there,
I
I don't
also
know
read
that there
that
is a
Who
movie
cares
this
about the
year that is
coworkers?
Sure, but it's like there is really none of those movies like you mentioned that are like both appealing to us and the average movie goer. I don't really know that there's something that crosses over for both people.
Could have been challengers. Could have been. The Academy missed it.
Should have been.
Should have been. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the little strategy talk, of course, as per usual. Sophie, strategy, you kind of alluded to it. You're just going Sophie core today. You did send a text to our group chat about 25 minutes ago that you were like, I'm not prepping, I'm reading. So how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Like, I don't know. I've just been watching some good stuff lately. I've been really this year in my movie watching, trying to prioritize like movies that, you know, don't feel like I'm just checking things off a checklist, but movies that I think will actually appeal to me and my tastes. And a lot of the time that has to do with the screenplay and with like a walk and talk nature, or, you know, I've just been watching some good stuff lately. So I'm excited to hopefully talk about some of that stuff.
Cool. That's exciting to hear. As a guy who's on this pod every single week, I strive to be like you. I strive to watch things for fun now because I have to watch things for the draft, or else I'll just continue to lose. Which I guess, you know, I'm at a real fork in the road here. I might as well just throw in the towel. Kevin, strategy. You watch anything? Rewatch anything? I know that you were hoping that I would cement the categories sooner than I did, so you could get more prep time.
Yeah, one might say, but I also like to think that my whole life has been leading up to this moment. You know, I've watched tons of stuff to prepare for this. I noticed that there were several movies that are available to draft here that I was watching recently before even thinking about this draft. So, so that was good because it kind of got the prep work out of the way before we even picked any categories.
Yeah, no, that is exciting. We did do a category shift on you this afternoon, kind of last minute. I feel good about that.
Listen.
I'm just trying to throw a wrench in your plan, honestly.
No, I'll be all right. I come over prepared to these things. Like I said, I've got a whole list. I don't have to worry too much about any wrenches being thrown my way.
Okay, prepared for sure. Now we, as kind of the trifecta here, the triumvirate of drafters, we have all agreed that the movies that have been previously drafted in our original screenplay draft and adapted screenplay draft are ineligible for this draft. They will not be allowed to be redrafted for this Oscar-nominated draft. I'm going to read through the list of these films, and I will say who won these drafts. So come on this short journey with me, if that's okay. Adapted screenplay draft. I picked up The Social Network, The Insider, Before Midnight, Prometheus, Psycho, and The Big Short. Somehow I didn't win that draft. That's preposterous to me. That's unreal. Okay, Sophie picked up Casablanca, The Princess Bride, There Will Be Blood, Jurassic Park, Carol, and Oppenheimer. Kevin, you picked up It's a Wonderful Life, The Silence of the Lambs, Jaws, The Godfather, 12 Angry Men, and your wild card was In a Lonely Place. I remember that conversation specifically, a good conversation here on the show. Kevin, you did walk away with the win in the adapted screenplay draft. Yeah, I echo your sentiment, Sophie. That's a big boo from me.
Listen, how upset can you get? You drafted Prometheus, you know what I mean? It's like how
fucking sick movie, dude.
How upset can you get? You know,
I was scrambling. Franchise sequel, hard. Hard category from what I remember. Okay, and then an original screenplay. We had Sophie pick A Marriage Story, When Harry Met Sally, Tar, Good Will Hunting, Inglourious Bastards, and Broadcast News. Very high potential to be the best team that's ever been drafted in any draft at all on this pod.
Love
I feel
that.
like you just named one during the last draft. And
that's a win doesn't really equate to legacy. You know,
Okay.
it's really
All
about
right.
what's ingrained on the Mount Rushmore here at the draft pod. Sophie did walk away with the win on that one. Kevin, you drafted Notorious, Aftersun, Beginners, Boys in the Hood, Dazed and Confused, and Showgirls. I drafted Spotlight, Lady Bird, Before Sunrise, Past Lives, Pulp Fiction, and Uncut Gems. That happened. So you guys, every time that it's insane. It's insane. And I feel like I've crossed over into Bradley Cooper territory where people are like getting annoyed that I'm not winning. And they're like, this guy should not win because he just tries to win all the time. And it's a big turnoff. So I don't know. I got to change something. I didn't walk away with a win in either of those. Kevin, you got one. Sophie, you got one. It'd be nice if I could walk away with a dub tonight to kind of even the playing field and we could all come back for a tiebreaker. So listeners, if that's interesting to you, we could make a great case for having a very fun tiebreaker if I win. Is how we're going to do that.
It's too bad you just made a great case for why you shouldn't win right before you said that.
I'm just trying to make content here, man. That's my whole job. You know, I'm on the content train. This is a regular draft, meaning we're going to be drafting teams of 6. We have categories. We will be going snake style. So drafter 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Like I said, we're going to fill out the 6 categories. Here are the categories for this draft. Original screenplay winner, adapted screenplay winner, international film and screenplay, lone screenplay nomination, box office, $100 million plus at the domestic box office, and a wild card category. Those are the 6 categories that we're going to be drafting. Substantially different, I feel like, than the original and the adapted drafts. Sophie, how are you feeling about these categories? Kevin kind of mentioned it feels a little bit better because it boxes them in a little bit more. Do you feel a similar sentiment?
Yeah, I do. I feel like there were still like plenty of screenplays to choose from. I mean, yeah, I think we all kind of felt that way, which is why we've done a variation of a screenplay draft 3 separate times at this point. So yeah, I feel good about these categories.
Yeah, I feel good. Kevin, I mentioned that I mixed up category on you last minute. You tried to swing 100 million worldwide for the box office. Yeah. I vetoed. I said domestic. We always go with 100 million domestic. You're good with that? You're feeling okay with categories?
Yeah, I ended up looking at my box office category and I only got rid of about 5 or 6 movies and still have like 20 to choose from. So I don't think it ends up affecting me too much in the long run.
Okay, that's good. Good for you, I guess, if you're trying to win a draft that I'm also trying to win. In terms of prep for myself, I had a very busy couple of days at work and I prepared very hastily in the 15 minutes that I was allotted of free time today. So maybe that's beneficial. Maybe that could do me some good. I also just got done coming off of wrestling with my 6 and 4-year-old daughters for about 45 minutes and playing mommy gorilla and daddy gorilla. So
he's amped up.
I'm still in the gorilla headspace, you could say. So I'm here. I'm ready to draft. I can't wait.
Is that a hint of the screenplay or?
No,
Is there a gorilla related script? Or?
No, absolutely not. It's 1,000,000% real. Lucy, my 4-year-old, was on the end of the couch screaming, "I am the mommy gorilla," and then charging me. And that is what I have been doing with my time preparing for this. Sophie, you read, both of you texted me today and you were like, took a nap this afternoon, feeling ready for the draft. And I was like, sick. My whole company just went through a reorg and I almost lost my job. That's how I prep for the draft. So we're all in very different headspaces, and I think this is going to be really fun. Anything else to say before I spin the wheel of names?
I think we should mention that the lone screenplay category is in reference to movies that only have 1 Oscar nomination, not like a lone screenplay for that writer or whatever. It's just for that specific movie, just so that people know.
Yes. Yeah. So that, good. I'm glad I interpreted that correctly. It is a movie that only got an Academy Award nomination for the screenplay and no other category.
Yeah.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Wow, that really could have been bad. Okay. Let's spin. Ben is not here, of course, so I've got the spinner. I'm going to spin. I'm going all lowercase today. Lowercase names. We've got all of us here. Anybody hoping to go first? Because it is a regular draft. Kind of takes, the pressure off an auction or collab, I guess.
I would like to go first.
I'm kind of hoping not to go first.
Huh. Okay. We shall see. I always ask because the person who says they want to go first never gets to go first. All right. Let's spin the spinner. It's live. It is happening on my webcam. Wow.
Hell
it's
yeah.
a first.
Mm-hmm.
Remarkable. She's back.
Look at how that works out.
Op and Mommy returns. Okay.
Yay.
Sophie's going to be drafting first. And boy, I hope I get the turn. And that's not happening. Damn. Kevin's going second. I do get the turn. Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, this is great. Okay, wonderful. I take back the damn. Kevin is going second. I will be drafting third on the turn. Let me fill out the doc here so graciously for everybody. Been getting criticized recently on my doc keeping skills, and I just want to put it out there that I'm trying my hardest. So, maybe just throw a win my way, and maybe I'll do a better job keeping the doc in order. Okay, Sophie, let's kick off the Oscar-nominated screenplays draft with your very first pick. Hey,
Great.
Welcome back to the draft pod, by the way.
Hey, thanks, Ethan. Okay. So I wanted to go first because I feel like there's a film that's notably missing from the two drafts that we've done so far. And that is Before Sunset.
Damn it! No! No! I feel like the Joker right now. No!
Which this will
Riddler.
arguably also be my most basic pick. But I feel like it has to be taken here. We mentioned Before Sunrise and Before Midnight, and Before Sunset is arguably the best of the three. I'm going to be taking it in the lone category, which notably I only have 3 films listed, and I basically assigned them to us in my head. They're very I know exactly what Kevin's picking, and I'm pretty sure I know.
I don't know if you do.
As well, I think I do.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, what's to say about the Before trilogy screenplays? But I think they are just completely authentic and philosophically deep and have so much to say about love and time and regret. And I think they're all perfect, but I think this one has my favorite conversations within it and things that they talk about in this film are questions that I will bring up at the dinner table. So love this screenplay and wanted to have it.
Okay. Yep.
Silence.
That's
no,
happened.
I think it's a good. It was on my list. It makes sense. As soon as you said movie that was left out of our last 2 drafts, I knew what you were picking because I looked at the picks to prepare, and I was like, oh, weird that nobody drafted Before Sunset, but we drafted the other 2. So I kind of saw that one coming.
I kind of take this as a personal affront because I was really hoping to finalize my trifecta of drafting it before screenplay in every single draft. I drafted Before Midnight originally. I drafted Before Sunrise secondly, and
sorry,
I guess I just can't. It's just not going to happen. I can't complete the collection, which that's a real problem for me. Okay, yeah, it's a pretty good film. Just kind of one of the best ever made. So yeah, you're right. You're good.
I also listened to the Before Sunset rewatchables this morning, so it was kind of game over when that was fresh in my mind.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the rewatchables yet, but I did listen to a clip of Fantasy talking about how it's kind of a perfect movie, and that is when then I then proceeded to say, you know what, I'd like to not work and watch the whole trilogy right now, and that is where I've been all day as well, which is why I'm so mad. It is so great to have you back on this movie draft podcast. Kevin, please proceed with your pick.
I would love to. I'm a little bit torn. I'm always struggling at the start of these drafts with which category to go with. and I'm kind of narrowing it down to two categories where it feels like my options are either like limited or I just really know what I want in them. I feel like there's an obvious first pick in the draft that did not get picked. It feels like a really boring pick to me. And so instead of taking that right now, I'm going to sit on it. And in the best adapted screenplay winner category, I will be drafting No Country for Old Men.
This is a great pick as well.
Adaptation of a Cormac McCarthy novel. And
wow.
Yeah, I was going to, speaking of prep, watch this before the draft today, and then I took my nap instead. But I've seen it enough times to not need the rewatch.
Oh man, I've only seen this movie one time, but I was just like very enthralled. Obviously, so many like notable monologues and moments from this film that I feel like make it a really good pick for this draft. Dang. Okay. Well, I'm most concerned about adapted screenplay winner is kind of where I'm stressed out the most.
Oh.
And now you just picked one. But I also
were you leaning in that direction?
Not in particular. I also kind of just want to go through my like long list again to make sure I'm not oversighting anything.
I could stall with some Kevin lore because I don't know if I've mentioned this part on the podcast before, but in talking about my screenwriting background, No Country for Old Men, also personal pick because this is like the first time I watched a movie and was like, oh, that's how you write a movie. And then it kind of inspired me to pursue screenwriting. So this screenplay kind of lives on forever in my mind.
I think that's good. I like that. I'm honestly not listening to your lore, Kevin. I'm really focused on
that's okay. I know. I saw how focused you were, and I was like, I don't know if I should keep going or if I should just shut up and let you focus.
I feel like with these two really good first picks, I feel a little less qualified to kind of maybe like speak on a movie, especially in the adapted winner category. I haven't seen a lot of these recently or like rewatched a lot of them. So I'm kind of just going into this category being like, that's a sick movie from what I can recall. There's one that I want to pick that I know somebody really hates and I would lose their vote. And that would make me sad. Also, one vote does not a win make. So I'm up in there about that. Maybe I'll just...
Why don't you just give us all your options? Why don't you just read them out loud?
Yeah, I could do that. That could be a great idea. Man, I sense a little, wow, Kevin, a little spice on the tongue. Holy cow.
No, I'm just curious.
Listen,
I'm just an enjoyer of great screenplays. I just want a wide range of movies to talk about.
Well, do you want my real take is the fact that like you're much more like you're more well versed in screenplays than I am and will ever be. So I feel like I'm letting you down a little bit by picking something a little basic. And that makes me sad because I want to impress you, Kevin, and I want you to come back on the pod even though you're banned. I'm just going to pick the movie that I think is like honestly kind of the sickest in this category. I need to make sure it hasn't been drafted before, but I don't think it has. Perfect. I'm going to be taking The Departed in Academy Screenplay winner. It's The Departed, guys. I feel like it's pretty good. Really great screenplay too.
I just rewatched this movie with my parents on Christmas because they were watching some bad Netflix movie and I was like, let me put on a real movie. And I went on Netflix and I found The Departed and I was like, sure, we can watch this. We're watching The Departed. About halfway through the movie, maybe even more than halfway through the movie, my dad goes, oh, we've seen this before. And then he starts describing the end of the movie to my mom before it happens. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember. And I'm like, it took you guys 90 minutes to realize that you've seen the movie before.
That's tough. That's tough for your family. Okay. Yeah, this is a good screenplay. I'm looking over some of this. Wow. Good stuff.
Who
let this IRA motherfucker in my bar?
So
dang. Okay. All right. Well, some Kevin Coop. That's pretty good. I'll take that. All right. I do have another pick. So I've got adapted screenplay off the board. I kind of want to go international. I feel like that'd be fun. And Yeah. No, I'm actually gonna. This might be a poor move. This might come back to bite me, but I feel a little bit more stacked in international than I do an original screenplay winner, which I don't know how you feel about that in general. And maybe an unpopular pick, but a movie that I really adore the screenplay for, that I think about on a pretty consistent basis. It's fairly new, so I don't know, it might rub some people the wrong way in terms of voting, but an original screenplay winner, I'm going to be taking Anatomy of a Fall. I love this movie, and I love how kind of tightly wound a lot of the conversations are in this movie, specifically the kitchen scene, obviously. And I feel good about this. It's a movie that I like, and I want to take a page out of your book, Sophie. Want to go for something I like?
Love it. I saw this movie when it came out, and I feel like the more, like, it's one that I often am like, I really need to rewatch that. Like, I really liked that movie, but it is one of those movies that, like, that kitchen scene is on my Twitter at least once a week.
All the time, right?
So I'm like, do I really need to see it? Like, I'm seeing this scene over again. But yeah, it's a great movie.
Maybe I've been plugging that scene on your feed just to warm you up to the idea of like, oh, it is around all the time. I do like this movie and I should vote for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw this movie back at New York Film Festival, and that was like the first festival that I went to, and it was the first movie that I saw. And I was like, wow, this is sick. This is really cool to see movies at a film festival in New York City and then be like, oh shit, good movies. They're out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie a lot. Not where I thought you were going when you said really modern pick, but
okay.
But I think it's really good. I think it's a screenplay movie. Like, I like it the most because of its screenplay. It's very much like a writer's movie. And I think that's the kind of thing that people will notice when voting for a screenplay draft. So that works in your favor.
You would hope. I hope so, yeah. I own the criterion of this. I should stick it in and watch it. I haven't gotten to rewatch it recently, but I like this movie. Okay. Back to you, Kevin. Round 1 is done. I'm still really bitter about the first pick, but we press on.
On the subject of your Anatomy of a Fall pick, I was also leaning towards my next pick being a somewhat modern original screenplay winner, but
okay.
I'm kind of starting to lean away from that idea. I'm picking a little bit between a modern pick and a much older pick. The last time that I won, the only time that I won the draft, I went with some pretty classic screenplays, like classically beloved screenplays that I thought would come back to bite me because I didn't think people would care that much. I thought they would lean towards modern ones, but now that I've won using that strategy, I feel like it doesn't hurt to draft a classic one.
Don't do it.
Can I just let you know that while that train of thought might be correct, that was also your first appearance on this pod, and it could have just been a lot of, a little bit of vote padding of people being like, oh, good, Kevin's getting out there on the draft. Let's make him a winner and make him feel good. Just in case.
That was my first appearance. Was it?
I believe it is. That is what my document shows, yeah. That was your first appearance, episode 12, all the way back in March of last year, the original screenplay draft. You came on for best movie quotes after that. Then you came on for high school movies, and then you came on for adapted.
Didn't I win adapted, though?
Did you win adapted?
Yeah, I think I won adapted and not original.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
it was my most recent appearance that I won, not my first.
Damn, that's too bad.
Because I remember losing several in a row and being and then pivoting to a new strategy for adapted because I was like, I finally have to win one of these. Like, I'm not gonna. I'm done making the me picks. I'm picking the people picks.
I built your stairs to heaven there for you. Holy cow! Yeah. Dang, that backfired.
So I'm gonna take like a kind of classic screenplay here in the best original screenplay winner. It is widely regarded as maybe the best original screenplay of all time, just to pad things a little bit. By both the WGA, AFI, every single group of people that have written about it. I also watched it today.
Wow.
In the original screenplay winner, I'm going to draft Chinatown.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
I haven't seen this movie, so I have no ground to speak.
Oh wow! I do not want to ruin the
Whoa.
movie for you, which will
I know nothing about this film.
Okay, yeah, I watched it today with my girlfriend who also knew nothing about the film, and that ending, it's fun to see somebody watch that not fun actually. It's not a fun ending to watch. It's just cool to see somebody experience it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that you've drafted it, I will probably watch it.
Yeah, safe to say one of the all-time great screenplays. I'm a big fan, and rewatching it, I think I liked it even more. It's been a number of years, but when I was looking at all of the potential movies that I could draft, and knowing I only had today left to prepare, I was like, if I could only watch one movie, what would it be? And the answer was Chinatown. So
I actually rewatched this movie for our original screenplay draft and didn't end up taking it for some reason, but yeah, I feel like this is just the absolute standout left in this category. I mean, there's so many good ones, but it's just the tension.
Also incredibly topical.
Yeah.
Very, very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
As most of the great screenplays are, I guess, but.
Mm-hmm. You're up, Sophie.
Okay. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. The past 15 minutes, I've been absolutely scrambling doing some research.
I'm scrambling as well.
Well, I honestly, no sympathy. No sympathy. That's insane. I'm not even gonna vamp for you either. I'm gonna make the listeners listen to silence while you scramble and try to figure out what you can draft.
Okay, well, I feel like if I can't have Chinatown, there's one other screenplay that I feel like I have to take. It's also a very Kevin core film, and I think he probably didn't take it just because he always talks about it, and that would be Do the Right Thing. That's a winner, correct?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit, Sophie, so you're gonna have to repeat what it was. You lost all momentum.
Really? You can't hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah, I didn't hear what movie you said, though.
I was like, wait, is that not correct? Because you guys just were completely silent. Okay, I'm selecting Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Is it a winner?
I'm pretty sure it's a winner. I was very quickly doing research, so you guys can confirm if you'd like.
I think it was a nominee and not a winner.
Waiting. Let's see. Let's go to
awards. It's not even on my list, and that does not seem like something that somebody as prepared as me would miss.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was nominated, only nominated, not a winner. So not eligible for this draft. That is strike one until you have a permanent ban here on this draft. 3 strikes, you're out.
It's still eligible for the draft because I could
take
it.
Okay, it is.
Card.
It cannot be drafted here in original winner.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. This one
you got to be spinning hardcore right now. Your mind. You got to be going down.
Okay. First of all, that was my first offense in movie draft history. I've never done that. Where Ethan, I'm pretty sure I can count on many hands.
Not to mention all the category fraud that Ethan runs.
So much
category fraud from Ethan's side of the mic.
Guys, it's all about pushing boundaries. Isn't that what life is about? Figuring out new ways to do things. You know. I stand by all of my boundary pushing.
Okay. This one I know for sure is
You're positive?
Oscar winner. Yes, I'm positive. I'm gonna be taking original screenplay. I'm gonna take Network.
Fuck. I was really hoping you wouldn't.
Pick.
I thought that was what you were doing first and not dang. Okay.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite screenplays ever. I mean, I feel like it's always pretty topical, but it's just a screenplay that serves so much purpose in the realm of media, and I think it's absolutely genius, and also just has some of the most incredible quotes, and I think it just tackles so many hard things in such a compelling way. So Network.
Yeah. That's a really, really good pick.
Right pick if you were going to choose one of those all-time kind of classic screenplays between
Mhm.
Chinatown and Network and those kinds of movies. I think that's the right choice here.
Thank you. Feeling
Two
validated.
things. Two. Good. I'm glad you came back. Two things. This was the story of Howard Beale, the first known instance of a man who was killed because he had lousy ratings. That's great. That's really good. Good stuff. I stand by my pick of Anatomy of a Fall. I also think that you guys just you guys took the lifeboat out to sea and left me on Anatomy of a Fall Island out here. And you guys were like, oh, we're going to go hang out with some good screenplays. We'll see you around later. Because I didn't get that kind of Kevin appreciation when I drafted Anatomy of a Fall.
I don't want to because the thing is, what I don't want to do to you, Ethan, is I feel like every time I come on one of these drafts, you always make at least one pick where I say something like a little bit, not rude, but I'm just like, oh, I don't know about that. But if you want me to say it, I think
I didn't ask for you to say it. I think you should keep it to yourself so I can maintain a semblance on this draft.
Myself because now it's already been brought up. But what I was going to say is I think if you wanted to have a competing screenplay with the two that we just drafted, there is a modern pick, which I could mention when we get to honorable mentions if it doesn't get drafted, that would have been the very clear choice for a modern original screenplay winner. But again, you're the drafter.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate you telling me that I'm drafting wrong. That really does mean a lot. Sophie, you have another pick. You are up again.
I do. I have another pick, and I am going to go in the international category. I do have this is honestly my longest list. I have a lot of options here, but there's one screenplay that I enjoy above the rest. So I'm going to be selecting The Worst Person in the World.
Nice.
That's so stupid.
I mean, I remember when this movie came out the same year as Bo Burnham's Inside, and everyone was kind of scared of the whole 30s experience. And I just think it really tackles a 20-something person navigating life and what it means to be a person and figuring out relationships and self-discovery. I think a lot of the stuff in the screenplay really resonates with me, and it's a movie that shouldn't be as entertaining as it is if you just kind of wrote down what happens in the film. Just has really rich and relatable themes, so I love this movie a lot.
I think this is a great choice. My thing with international is that when you said this was your longest list, I was a little bit shocked because not that there aren't plenty of great options. I actually have a huge list of great options, but in terms of picking movies that I thought people would vote for, all of my favorite international screenplays are movies that 6 people have seen. So that's my issue. And so I thought I thought there was a movie in this category that was the consensus number 1 overall pick for that reason.
But I would agree.
But I think The Worst Person in the World is really good, and I would like to rewatch it. It's been a bit, and I'm excited that he has another movie coming out with
Me too.
Renate Reinsve again. I think that will be really good, probably.
Well, that is what I was going to draft.
Oh wow, really?
Pick. Yeah, I was. That's a bummer. I should have known. I've just been away from you too long, Sophie. It just didn't come front to mind. I couldn't read into you. Yeah, that's a really, really good movie. A movie I've unfortunately only seen once, but it is a movie where now that I am 30, I'm worried that I'm gonna watch it and it might break me more than it already has. And I, that it takes a lot to go into a movie like that again. That is quite a wonderful pick. I gotta do some rethinking because I've drafted only bad movies so far. So
okay,
Kevin. Kevin, you are up for your third.
I
pick.
am, and I kind of hinted at what my next pick would be. So only because it's still here, and I want to preface. I think this is a boring pick. I think it is also one of my favorite movies on the board in any category, and after my first 2 picks, I feel like I have a chance to win. So I want to just kind of pad the stats a little bit before I make some personality picks. And so to do that in the international category,
Uh,
I'm going to select a little Bong Joon-ho movie called
That honestly kind of
Parasite.
like fuck both of you. That's so stupid. You were like, oh, Ethan, you messed up once, and now we're gonna friggin' bury you in the grave.
I want to be clear, though. I want to be clear. When we get to honorable mentions, you need to give me some time to talk about the international category, because I would love to put people on to screenplays that they actually should be paying attention to, unlike Parasite. But a guy's got to compete, you know, and I'd like to be a winner. So plus, my favorite movie in this category is eligible in another category, and so I might just kind of take Parasite and then scoop that one up later.
Okay.
But yeah, Parasite's Parasite. I don't know that we really need to, or that I need to say too much about it. But you know, great movie.
Yeah,
yeah,
it had to be done.
I mean, you're basically saying we don't need to dive an hour into Parasite. There's been enough content.
We can do a separate podcast on that if you want.
We should do Parasite scenes. I'm trying to figure out the right movie to do scenes.
I would love to come on for the Bong Joon-ho collaborative draft if that has not already happened.
Oh,
wow! You are the second person to have privately suggested that. Well, private and public, I guess.
Not very private, but yeah. There's many. Listen, there's many directors. There's many directors I would come on for a collaborative draft. Something that I, in 5 appearances now, have not participated in. So if any directors that are in my wheelhouse, feel free to. I mean, Bong Joon-ho, that's one of my guys. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
The other person
maybe not enough movies for a collaborative draft though. He's only got like 7 or 8 feature films. So
I'm looking through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mickey 17 would be 8, which by our standards is not enough. We have to have 10 to do a collaborative draft. So but yeah,
call me like 6 years from now, you know.
One day it'll be possible. The other person who suggested to do a Bong Joon-ho collaborative draft, you know who you are, and you're cool. So wow, I'm really thrown out for a loop here. So can I ask you guys a question?
Of course.
Can we just talk for a second? So, okay, you don't have to be so nice. I
was a little mean before, so you know, balance or
you're coming
whatever.
back. You're coming back on it. I'm just looking. I'm trying to figure out if I want to make what kind of pick I want to make. In international, I feel a little icky with this, but I'm maybe looking for a little bit of validation to see if this is like okay here.
Just a British movie?
I don't believe so. I don't know what you said, but no. So Past Lives is technically eligible here in international screenplay.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to put it out. I didn't want to draft it, but Wikipedia puts it under that category.
Okay.
Well, you also drafted it in the original screenplay already.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Well, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Look at me.
So technically not eligible.
So not eligible in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
Dang, I was really hoping I could skirt around that one. I was hoping I would figure something out to draft it. Okay, for another one. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go with I guess like the only one, which makes me really anti Kevin energy here. Kind of the only one that I have on here that I have like any interest in drafting, outside of The Worst Person in the World, Parasite, obviously. Anatomy of a Fall would have qualified for this category as well. So maybe I fucked up there. I'm gonna be taking in. Oh well. Hold on. You guys have both drafted international.
Yeah, you can chill for a bit if you want.
Yeah, feel free to save it.
No, it makes me a little nervous.
Wild cards, maybe even another category. I might be going international.
Yeah, it just makes me too nervous. I got to get it off the board so I can focus on some others. In international, I'm going to be going with Ryosuke Hamagachi's Drive My Car. I think this is a quite masterful film with a remarkably impeccable screenplay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you're correct. I think this is your best pick so far. Can I say that?
We did it. This is all I needed. I just needed the Kevin seal of approval.
I think that's a great choice. Really good movie. Good. Hamaguchi is one of the best guys working right now. That's an awesome
absolutely agree.
pick.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Got that off the board. Oh man, all pretty like relatively new age movies, which I'm not really fond of. I have another pick. Where do we go? I've got lone screenplay, box office, and wildcard. How are you guys feeling about these categories? Lone screenplay and box office. I have a lot of options in both.
My lone screenplay may or may not be the movie that I originally wanted to draft in international. So, and I'm also confident that it will not come off the board. So I'm kind of saving that for last. But
okay.
But box office, plenty of successful movies here.
Really? I only have a few for box office that I really wrote down.
I have a fairly long list, but also I kind of want to lean towards because there are movies in the box office category that might have made their money because they were Oscar movies or heavily awarded. And then there are movies that really feel like blockbusters. And so I kind of want to take a screenplay that feels like a blockbuster screenplay, but I don't know.
Sophie, how are you feeling going into these categories?
Well, I have my lone, and box office. I have one movie down.
Okay, good.
Because it was just a movie. It was a movie I thought of that I knew made a lot of money, and that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't do any research. So if you want to share your list, Kevin, feel free.
You want me to just start reading some off so that you guys have a word bank?
Yeah, go for it. Give us a short list. The word bank. Give us a short list, Kevin.
Oh, really?
I mean, look, if you want.
What category are you trying to go in right now, Ethan? Box office?
Are you trying to pick a blockbuster? Box office?
Yeah, I think I'm headed to box office. I feel pretty confident about what my pick is. It's not going to get Kevin approved, and it might not get Sophie approved, but Can
I say one of the movies on my box office list is the movie that I said you went wrong by not picking when you chose Anatomy of a Fall. So something to keep in mind. But
okay, wow.
I'm really dancing around this pick. I'm not going to draft it, but I think it's a very good modern screenplay and has been recognized as such.
Ooh.
That doesn't help me.
Really recognized as such. It's probably the only screenplay from the last 10 years that has gotten this much recognition.
What?
No, well, I'm not going to guess it. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen.
I don't want to just give you movies. That feels
no.
Cheap,
No. I feel ready. I
feel like I've hinted at it as much as I can without revealing it.
I feel ready. I'm just trying to hold myself to a Kevin standard here, and I think I need to shed. I also
don't want your team to be my team because that feels wrong as well. Then I just have two teams, and that's
okay. Yeah, it's one too many teams, Kevin.
Yeah.
I am gonna go with a movie that I personally just can rattle off so many quotes from this film that I just think is I just think it's a great screenplay. In box office, it made $151 million at the domestic box office. I'm going to be picking La La Land, specifically for the fact that Ryan Gosling says they worship everything and they value nothing as he walks through a movie set in Los Angeles, which I think is pretty great.
Love it.
I like this film. Thanks,
Kevin.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support.
Oh no! Let's don't make it a thing just because I don't have anything to say.
Your silence speaks volumes, Kevin.
No. I like La La Land. Don't convince the people that I don't like. I don't want to be that much of a contrarian.
It's actually the title of this pod. La La Land or Kevin hates La La Land.
Oh no!
La La Land also hates Kevin. That's
oh no! That's not true.
I like this movie.
Made me cry.
This movie to me is one of the very first films that I saw when I was getting into movies. So that idea of you always remember your first kind of a thing. This is the movie that this is the first movie I went back and I saw multiple times in a theater. This is the first movie where I saw it 4 times in a movie theater where I was like, uh-oh, I have to go do this again. And so it just holds a special place in my heart and I like it a lot, even though Ryan Gosling has taken an all-time downfall as of late. R.I.P. Yeah. My guy. Tough. All right. Do I have another pick? No, I got my two. Okay, we're good.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Okay, so I've got La La Land in box office. Wow, just a remarkably current team, which I don't like. Kevin, back to you.
Yeah, I kind of hinted at it, but in the blockbuster box office category, I would like to take a movie that really feels like a blockbuster. And this is probably the only movie from one of my favorite directors that I can choose and people would actually vote for. So I'm going to select in the box office category M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a really cool pick.
That is a cool pick.
And like I said, I mean, it's widely regarded as like one of the all-time great screenplays, which is the only M. Night Shyamalan movie that you can say that about. Whether or not that consensus is valid, up for debate, but this is the first time in a draft where I felt like I should draft an M. Night movie, so I'm happy to do so. The Sixth Sense is like, I mean, this is one of my favorite screenplays ever. I've actually read this one before, and I enjoy it very much. So
that's amazing. Did you know that I recently watched The Sixth Sense for the very first time?
Did you know the twist ahead of time?
I am yes, a part of society, so I did know the twist.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I guess many such cases.
Pretty good movie, I will say.
It's a shame. Yeah. I mean, speaking of like movies that were drafting for their box office, how often now would like a movie come out where it's like, oh, you like it made so much money because people were like, oh, you have to see this, like you have to know how it ends. Like that's just, it's pretty rare now. For a movie like that to come out with the internet and stuff. But like The Sixth Sense was a real like you watched it in theaters and you were like, well, I need to talk to somebody about how this movie ends, and then immediately it makes $600 million or however much money it made.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of people talking about Companion being like, yo, you got to figure out how Companion ends.
The Companion stray is crazy.
In the first 90 seconds that I watched that film. Yeah, no, this is a good pick. Sophie, you have anything to say about The Sixth Sense?
Not really. I've seen this film a long time ago.
That's a good start.
Don't remember much about it. I remember as much as the culture wants me to remember.
I would recommend a rewatch. I will say it's just as great of a movie if you know how it ends, to be fair.
Yeah. No, I mean, the first time I watched it, I knew.
It's like a whole different viewing. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to throw a lot of respect your way, Kevin, for constantly just putting the M. Night love out there. It's just a never ceasing battle. It's good. You're winning. So if you have two
winning
picks.
Is relative. But.
Okay. I do have two picks, and looking at my team so far, it's definitely very me coded. I just gravitate towards screenplays that are very like relational and about like the human condition. So part of me wants to kind of stay in that lane, but also I feel like I should maybe do something a little bit different, even though, naturally that's just kind of where my brain is going to go. So
do you still only have one movie in box office in your shortlist?
No, I added two more.
Okay, good. Tripled the list. Incredible.
Yeah, don't worry. But in adapted screenplay, there's a lot left that I could take that would get me votes. There's one screenplay in particular that I feel like is my favorite, but I think I'm gonna go with this screenplay I really appreciate just because of its like creativity within the genre, and I'm gonna take Amadeus, which is a screenplay. Thank you.
This is ridiculous. What is happening here is unbelievable.
Me and Kevin are just like pretty aligned normally.
Yeah.
No, you guys you're just
it.
smart movie watchers. You're just basically in so many words. You guys are like, Ethan, you're an idiot. You're dragging things like
listen. No,
apart.
Ethan, your picks are not bad, but I will say in the adapted category, this was my runner-up.
Oh, okay, great.
Wow. Okay.
Ethan, have you seen Amadeus?
No, I believe that you encouraged me to watch this one time, and I have not got around to it, strictly because it is 160 minutes long.
Okay, well, I do still.
Everybody knows I'm out on long movies.
Should be longer, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly.
No, I just haven't seen it.
Okay, well, I still recommend it. I think you'd really like it. But I think what I mean when I said like the creativity of it, it just has a really like masterful use of the unreliable narrator, and it's just like has really interesting things to say about like the mind and like genius versus mediocrity. And yeah, I mean, I love a biopic, and I feel like this is just one of the best.
Yeah,
has really sharp and funny dialogue as well.
Did you not just like describe Maestro? Is that not what you were talking about?
You wish.
Oh wow. Fucking shot to the heart. Oh my god. Live on the show. Oh wow. Okay.
Amadeus is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, yeah, this is one of the all-time screenplays for me, I think.
Isn't F. Murray Abraham in Moon Knight?
Is he?
Only you would know the answer.
Yeah.
A guy like me is not tuning in weekly to Moon Knight.
I'm pretty sure he plays Khonshu in Moon Knight. Guys, I liked Moon Knight. I'm pro Moon Knight.
Okay, all right.
Listen, that's great. The fact that you assumed I would know anybody in the cast of Moon Knight, though, feels like maybe I haven't been on the podcast enough.
Wow, that was cool. I just recycled to Maestro and Moon Knight. What a world I'm living in over here. It's all because of your lack of approval, Kevin. You've caused this. Sophie, you have another pick.
Okay, yes, I do. I'm tempted to go wild card here, but I kind of want to just like rattle off a bunch of those at a later point. So I will go box office. I'm deciding between the three that I have because I like them all equally. But I think in order to get votes, it's important that I select the film Get Out. So that's what I will be selecting. I think this is just like a movie that got like so talked about that it's easy to kind of neglect. But I think it is really, really smart and entertaining and equally funny. Like it's really well made, and obviously Jordan Peele is just one of our great working directors, and what a debut. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. This is the movie I've been hinting at for the entire podcast that I think Ethan should have drafted. It is also the movie that I was going to pick with my very next pick. So
Wow.
Now I have to pivot a little bit.
Little steal.
I mean, I wasn't like confident in that pick, but after talking about it so much, I was like, might as well draft it. And then Sophie took it the pick before mine. So I guess
I kind of needed it, you know, like I don't really have it. Like, how many people have seen Amadeus that listen to this podcast? Probably 5 or less.
Amadeus is pretty popular. I think if anything, less people have seen The Worst Person in the World or Network than Amadeus. I feel like
it's a shame.
Amadeus.
I needed
a little bit
of
a
crowd fave.
Yeah, so. Get Out is definitely that, and also like as smart as you said it was. So
yeah, I mean, you know, I think you're right, Sophie. Like we've talked about it for so long, so much, but like it's important to remember it was like a genre redefiner, like especially when it came to a screenplay stance, which is big to have on your team here.
Yeah,
unfortunately, it does not have an actor that was in the Marvel television series Moon Knight. So you lost.
Do you know that
fact,
though? Did you fact check that? Or?
I'm pretty sure. I'm going through the list. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you remember the entire cast of Moon Knight?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've got it all up here. I'm just waiting for another Marvel project as good as Moon Knight.
Nice.
Wow, good pick. Get Out in box office. Yeah, that was high on my list. That was high.
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Put me in a real tricky situation here. I didn't realize how much I actually wanted to draft Get Out there. I feel like my options have been narrowed a little bit for this wild card choice that I'm about to make. I am going to pick wild card instead of lone writing nominee because I'm confident in my lone writing nominee, and if for some reason it gets drafted, I'll just pick the other one. So Oh gosh. Okay.
Oh, you're really stumped.
No, I really am. I mean, I might need you guys to pamper. So this is the first time in podcast in any of my appearances that I genuinely don't know what to choose. I think there is like a semi obvious Kevin pick that Sophie drafted and then undrafted a little while ago, like 20 minutes ago. It almost feels like too me to choose here.
Do you need me to vamp for a second? Because I have a question that I kind of want to float your guys' way.
Sure,
if you want to take a second to ask a question. So when doing these drafts, how important is it to you guys, or how much do you think it informs the vote if a movie or the parts of that film, director, actor, whatever it may be, becomes steeped in unfavorable circumstances on social media? Does that play like a role at all in what you guys think of a film specifically, like for a draft?
Can you give me a movie example? Is there what way are you talking about it being discussed on social media?
Well, there's like one movie that I'm thinking of specifically that like has, I gotta find a different example. I can't risk throwing this one out the window.
Well, but like you can just kind of describe, is it that the movie has a bad reputation because of people connected to it, or has it just like been smeared on social media because of
basically like, okay, movie comes out 10 years ago, people are like, yeah, this is a banger, this is good, a lot of people like it, and then all of a sudden, the main actor gets mired in a little bit of controversy, says some questionable things that are like, I don't know, might change my outlook on this actor's filmography a little bit. Not sure I want to stand by this as much anymore. Does that play a role in how you guys draft?
I'm going to be honest, no, because the movie that I'm considering drafting right now features a lead actor who is very well known as a not good guy, and also happens to have come out around 10 years ago. So it's weird that that's the amount of time
that's insane, because that's not the movie that I'm thinking of for this example. Unless you're totally kidding. Are you being real? You being honest?
What about
your predicament? But you're thinking about a movie.
I'm thinking about a movie with a lead actor that people universally agree is not a good guy, that is eligible for this draft.
I would love to know what that is if you don't.
That came out around 10 years ago. Where are you? I will say he's one of the great living actors. He is just one of the least great living humans. I don't know if I want to pick that.
Okay, but you said still, like not really. Doesn't really impact.
I mean, listen, I drafted Chinatown, it's like that movie is not viewed positively historically at all. So no, I don't it doesn't. I also just like, I guess the only thing I will say is that for draft purposes, the fact that a movie is hated on social media and that the people on social media are the ones voting on the draft, I could see where the predicament is. But otherwise, I wouldn't let it steer my choice.
No. Okay. You're better than that. Sophie, what about you?
I would say no, it doesn't really affect my drafting, just because you can find ways for most things to be kind of riddled with a pinch of controversy these days. But I do think like I'm protecting myself from some things. Like I'm not gonna, a movie I really enjoy, Promising Young Woman. Am I gonna draft that in front of Kevin? No.
In front of me? What do you mean in front of me? A known woman lover? A known lover of women?
That's not a movie people really enjoy. So and there is some controversy surrounding that writer and director, and not because she's problematic, but because maybe she's just not as talented as I might think she is. I don't know. So
right, maybe just a little too focused on Barry Keoghan's dong. Who's to say?
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Really?
Yeah, who knows?
Okay, I haven't exactly made up my mind, but I can't stall much longer, so I'll just kind of go with the movie that I was hinting at, because I think it is a great choice here. I'm sure I've mentioned this writer before on one of our last 2 screenplay drafts as an honorable mention, but I've never drafted one of his movies. I'm going to select Manchester by the Sea for Wild Card, written by Kenneth Lonergan, one of the great writers of our time. I think this is an excellent screenplay. I adore this movie. It has, like I said, a lead actor who gave maybe the best performance of the last 10 years and also is famously not a cool guy. This movie is amazing. I think Kenneth Lonergan is such a genius. Like, you read the screenplay for this movie and you're just like, yeah, that's what they should look like. This is kind of like one of those things I aspire to be able to do is write movies the way that Kenneth Lonergan writes them. I'm not super confident in this pick because I debated for the last 10 minutes here, but it seemed it's the one I landed on, and I think generally people really like this movie, if I had to guess.
I did not know Lucas Hedges was in this film. I'm greatly inspired to watch this film now.
He is arguably the best part of it.
Oh wow. I'm in. I'm so in. All that I know about this movie is like, oh, it's super sad. That's all that I've ever heard about this film.
The saddest, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. As someone with kids, you might want to think twice about watching this movie.
Shit. Okay,
it is a real toughie. I mean, it will probably ruin your day, week, month, and year. Like I'm not ready to sacrifice that for Lucas Hedges. I'm so sorry. Listen, Lucas Hedges is amazing in it. And I was reaching. I mean, Casey Affleck is the best part of the movie. Arguably, Michelle Williams is the second best part of the movie. But Lucas Hedges is like a brilliant actor. Like, he is amazing in this movie. They're all kind of standout performances.
Good pick. Good pick. I haven't seen it. Sophie, have you seen this?
I have. I've seen it. I saw it when it came out, and then I think I revisited it a few years later. But yeah, it's definitely one that's hard to watch. I feel like I'm probably consuming that one clip of Casey Affleck grabbing the gun more often.
That's from this movie? That's from this film?
Yes.
Yeah, boy.
I'm surprised you don't know that.
I only ever knew it in relation to people that don't get good news that are in that situation on social media.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. It's from
it's
that.
The most like
film.
it's the most like literally me movie ever. I watched that scene and I'm just like, yeah.
That scene also like within the film is so incredibly sad, and the
if
fact
you think
that
it's sad
like,
watching it as like a joke
often,
reaction, it's in the movie
cool.
that is like the most soul crushing thing you will ever watch. It's so bad.
Cool. Probably never gonna watch this movie now. I went from being really locked in to not.
No, you
not
really
should.
do I don't want to steer you away. Everybody should experience the work of Kenneth Lonergan. I'm not just saying that because it's a screenwriting draft. Like, the guy is like a genius. I think I've talked about Margaret on the podcast before. Like, Margaret, like, so good. His other movie, You Can Count on Me, also amazing screenplay. I think it might have been nominated for an Oscar. I don't know if it's eligible here, but like he's a real writer. Like, his movies deserve a lot of credit.
Okay. I've got 2 picks to round out my team. I'm going to go with lone nomination, and then I'll go with wild card. So I'm going to stick to what I was speaking of a little bit ago in terms of the question that I asked you guys. A movie that I've drafted on other drafts that I think, without a pretty stellar script and screenplay, just like absolutely doesn't work whatsoever and doesn't matter in the slightest. In lone screenplay nomination, I'm going to be taking... I just want to make sure I'm making the right choice. I'm looking at my list. Yeah,
Ethan,
okay.
There's a very U-core movie that's...
There's a couple. I feel like there's like 2 or 3 on this list where I'm like, I'm kind of being pulled in 3 different directions of me core.
Just making sure. Okay.
I can throw them out there, but I mean, you guys still got a draft, you know?
No, I'm done in lone. I doubt I'll take the same thing as you, but
I know what I'm taking with my next pick, so I don't think
any
name can change that trajectory.
Okay, well, I'll do this. I'll say what they are, but I will pick the last one here. So I'm
Okay.
I'm stuck between 3. One of them being Nightcrawler, which I think is just an all-time banger movie. Not necessarily in this draft in particular, but it is eligible. The other one that is really me-coded is Lars and the Real Girl, a movie that I don't think enough people have seen that is like really, really good. Speaking of Ryan Gosling, I can't have 2 Ryan Gosling movies on my team. That's a little ridiculous. And the third one, which I will be picking in lone screenplay nomination, is First Reformed, a horror film that is scary.
Shut up.
And is more prescient and worth your time now more than ever, because somebody has got to do something. And that is how I feel every day. And I feel like that's how a lot of people feel every day. This movie should have won and been nominated for just far more things than one screenplay nomination. Of course, kind of, I guess you could say that the Casey Affleck situation of this is the Paul Schrader being like, hey, AI can write good screenplays. We should all be doing that. I don't co-sign that, hey, Mr. Schrader, get off Facebook and go find some other things to do. But First Reformed is kind of as good as it gets for me. Yeah.
A guy like me wants Paul Schrader to stay on Facebook and keep posting,
Post more.
I will say, I don't know how much this does for the people voting for you, but I think reading your 3 options might have, if I was a voter, would boost your vote, because you picked the clear best choice.
Yes, agreed.
Just letting you know that.
Wow.
Out of those 3 options,
turns out the Scarecrow has a brain. Who would have knew? Who would have known?
I also,
yeah,
not to boost your ego, this was my runner-up in that category. So.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think like I recently rewatched it, and it is just like so clearly a masterpiece of a film, and Ethan Hawke is so clearly doing something that like so few people can do in a setting like this, especially in a Schrader setting. And I think it is like just remarkably good. Love this movie.
I need to rewatch
I think
this.
It's also like worth
good.
mentioning great writers when we do these, as opposed to the directors of movies, because
Absolutely.
Screenplay draft. But he's one of those guys. Paul Schrader is one of the all-time great screenwriters. So
he's been one of those guys for 50 years. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like he hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah. One of our great minds, one of our great Facebook posters, one of the great minds of multiple generations.
One of the great advocates for AI. Okay, I have my wild card. Sophie, did you have anything to say about First Reformed? You said you got to rewatch it.
No, yeah, I just really need to revisit this, because I haven't seen it in a bit, but I remember really loving it. That's all I have to say. I had the 3 movies down, 1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for Kevin, and this was the one I assigned to you.
Wow. Who would have known?
Can I ask you what your pick for me was when I drafted it?
Yeah, well, now I know that it's not correct, because you said you could also have taken it in international. So I'll just say right now that it was May, December.
Yep, this is what I thought you were going to draft as well.
Yeah, well, it was in the. I don't like. The thing is, I don't like how much you guys knew that I wanted to draft it, which is why I'm not drafting it. But it was between May, December, First Reformed, and the movie that I'll end up drafting. But yeah, that was definitely. It's the reason why I thought that this category should exist. If that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's like, I was like, why would he suggest this?
Yeah.
Yeah. This category was suggested by you, and I wrote that on my short list, and I was like, well, that's not coming to me, because Kevin's gonna pick it first.
It's a fun category, though.
No, it is.
It's a great category.
Group of movies.
It's a really, really good one. Okay. My wild card. So I have 4 things here that I'm, I guess, like in theory, tossing up. All of them start with the letter M, which I find fascinating. I guess I, in theory, could pick anything else in another category, but I wrote down specific ones that like don't really qualify for other categories for this, and I think I'm going to stick to that. So I'm going to go with another movie that stems from the 1999 slate of films, a la The Sixth Sense. I'm going to go with Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia.
Nice.
I just can't not have PTA movie on my team. Is kind of one aspect of it. Also, just a movie that kind of sticks with you, and I feel like that's important in a draft like this.
Yeah.
And frogs, you know, I'm pro frog. Just let it be known.
You killed it in this back half. I'm not gonna lie. You really did a great job towards the end here. No, I mean, killed it in a good way. Killed it in a good way.
It's so reassuring and so condescending at the same time. It's literally like the nicest and the meanest anybody's ever been to me at the same time. I just
like, you know what it is that I feel opinionated because I will say at the start of the episode, I look forward to whenever you have a new first time guest, you always ask them their opinion about the last draft. And because I'm not a first time guest, I didn't get to share my many opinions about other people's draft picks. So now I'm just doing it live via your current draft picks.
Yeah, well, that's the real problem. Is just giving you a platform to speak on other drafts.
Yeah, a lot of people have that one problem.
This will be the last episode that comes out in February. We are recording this quite early in February. At time of recording, you specifically, Kevin, the reason I did not throw this to you is because the last regular draft that has happened is the kissing scenes draft for Valentine's Day. Right. Listeners have heard it by now. You have not. Sophie has not. It is not available to the public at time. So I couldn't, in good faith, ask you what you thought of it. But you know, next time you come on, I'll be sure to.
Oh, I'll have opinions about that one. You can. I have opinions about all of them, but definitely that one.
Of course. Well, thank you. I crushed it in the back half, and that should be enough to get me, I don't know, a vote or two. Hopefully,
third place maybe.
It's like an abusive relationship, to be honest. It's like, wow, it's like, man, I love you, and then get out of the house.
He lifts you up. He brings you up.
Am I the Paul Schrader of this podcast?
Yeah, our in-house Schrader. Okay, Kevin, you have your last pick for lone nomination, I believe.
I do, yeah. And like I said, I wanted to take this in international. I went with Parasite to get the votes to pave the way for me to be able to take a movie that nobody listening has seen. Nobody is a stretch, but a lot of people listening have not seen. Because I need at least one of them on my team. Mm-hmm. So in lone writing nomination, I'm going to draft a Bernardo Bertolucci film called The Conformist, which is just like the greatest movie ever made in more aspects than the screenplay, but also because of the screenplay. We were talking a lot about kind of movies that are important right now. You mentioned First Reformed, and I agree with the sentiment that First Reformed is topical. The Conformist is like the most topical of a movie as you can get. Can I read the letterbox? Sentence real fast. I'm unfamiliar with this film. A weak-willed Italian man becomes a fascist flunky who goes abroad to arrange the assassination of his old teacher, now a political dissident. That sounds like a hoot.
I gotta check this out.
It's amazing. But also it's the description doesn't give this much away, like thematically, but it is a movie about how in the face of fascism, a lot of people at least lean towards what might be deemed a normal life, and anything that is other to that, whether it is their true identity or like who they really want to be or what will provide them with happiness, they surprise conform to the standards of the society in front of them because it's scary to go against it. And I think that it's a pretty universal message that I will not expand on in too much detail, but applies to many people. I would say I know a few conformers. It's a good movie, and people should watch it. It's also, this has nothing to do with screenplay, the greatest looking movie that you will ever watch, ever. I think every movie should look like this. Not every movie can, but it's literally a masterpiece. Like, this is this is how you make movies, you know?
Wow.
And
That's
famously
a high
now
praise.
my team is full of all-time bad guy directors because you know, as for the listeners of the pod who aren't familiar with The Conformist, don't look up anything about the director. Try to just keep that separate from my draft pick.
Ouch.
That's all I'm
Well,
gonna say.
I can attest to that. I'm in the same boat as you. So yeah, maybe a little less so, but that's fair. I have added this movie to my watch list. It sounds
I think
very
you should
good.
watch it immediately.
Right up my alley.
I have the 4K of it, and I watched
Wow.
it in my room, and it looks gorgeous. It
Oh,
was gorgeous
yeah.
the last time I saw it, but having it physically, it is it's really something.
I do plan on watching this after I rewatch the first season of the Marvel television show Moon Knight.
Nice.
Okay, can I make a quick call out real fast, Sophie, before you make your pick?
sure.
I just want to let Benjamin Lawhorn, co-host of this pod, know
Mm-hmm.
this is heinous behavior, what he is doing right now live as we record. He is in this document and he is peering into future draft results. So whatever that means to you as a listener, you take that and you stand by that, because it seems to me that Ben is acting in bad faith. And it's not that he was already in the dock when we started recording. He got in the dock.
Lurking.
He started lurking in the dock when we were recording. Now, I just wanted to put that out there. I don't run a smear campaign. I'm not here for Oscars nonsense. I love you, Ben. Stay out of the dock. Thanks so much.
All right.
Does that
Here
make
we
this
go.
draft void, or?
Yeah, it kind of nullifies everything, actually. Sophie, you have a wild card.
I do. I have a wild card and I have a very long list of films. So I might list some out loud. I think I know what I'm gonna go with, but just for fun, I'll name a couple things that I'm thinking about. To stay very true to myself, there is a Nora Ephron film still on the board in Sleepless in Seattle, which is arguably my favorite thing she's ever written. So I'm not gonna take that, but I would love to just shout that out.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of my favorite screenplays and just movies, period. David Lean's Brief Encounter. Gosh, I love that movie so much. But I have been on a pretty big Soderbergh kick. And I wrote down 3 screenplays. I watched Aaron Brockovich after Kevin had talked about it on, I believe, the Quotes draft. An incredible film. I also really love Out of Sight, but I'm going to go with his debut film, Sex, Lies, and Videotapes. Recently rewatched this. It was so good. I immediately put it in my top 4. It was a rewatch, but I just really, really resonated with it the second time around. And I just think it's absolutely genius because it's a movie that is about sex, but it doesn't have sex in it. And it's just has such compelling conversations about connection and intimacy. And I think it's absolutely unbelievable that this was a film made by, I think, a 26-year-old.
5, I think.
Unreal. That is
age, but
absolutely unreal. Won the Palme d'Or, just crazy stuff going on here. And the screenplay really sticks out to me. So that's what I will be selecting in Wildcard.
Sounds like a movie that I would really enjoy.
Yep. I
I'm
agree.
gonna watch this movie.
Yep.
All
I
right.
also have to watch it. I'm as a resident Soderbergh lover, still have not watched this one. I'll get there.
Now, I know there's a lot of banter, Kevin, between you and I about, your approval of my team and my picks. I find it a little concerning that you took advantage of the fact that this is an audio podcast to then on the very last pick resort to no audio fist pounding for
Right.
the approval of Sophie's
I didn't want to talk over.
pick.
I didn't want to talk over Sophie. I just got
Thanks,
excited
Kevin.
at the mention of Steven Soderbergh, who is one of the most important guys working right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is true. Okay, well, we have done it. We have completed the Oscar nominated screenplays draft here on the Movie Draft Podcast. Let's go through our teams and run through what we picked, and then we'll do an honorable mentions round because I know we all have things to throw out there.
Cool.
Sophie, why don't you tell us what you drafted and which category you drafted it in?
Got it. All right. In lone nomination, I took Before Sunset. In original screenplay winner, I took Network. In international, I took The Worst Person in the World. In adapted screenplay winner, I took Amadeus. In box office, I took Get Out. And my wild card pick was Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Kevin, what about your team?
In adapted screenplay winner, I took No Country for Old Men. In original, I took Chinatown. In international, I took Parasite. In box office, I took The Sixth Sense. In lone nomination, I took The Conformist. And my wild card pick was Manchester by the Sea.
In adapted screenplay winner, I took The Departed. In original screenplay winner, I took Anatomy of a Fall. In international, I took Drive My Car. I drafted La La Land for box office. First Reformed for lone nomination, and my wildcard pick was Magnolia. I feel like we've accomplished a lot here today, and we all have gotten the chance to talk about 18 really wonderful, fantastic screenplays. So I think this can act as like a nice little, like, hey, if you're looking for a good movie with a good screenplay, choose one of these things. I feel like we can all kind of confidently co-sign on that. Kevin, why don't you give me your I was going to say nominations, but why don't you give me your honorable mentions out of the gate?
Yeah, I've got plenty, but I'll try to go category by category and as quick as time as possible. I think in the original, my biggest runner-ups that didn't get mentioned would be Citizen Kane, speaking of classic screenplays, and maybe Dog Day Afternoon. Then in the adapted category, Brokeback Mountain is a choice that I really like there. All the President's Men, speaking of topical political films, was definitely, but I feel like I've talked about that on here before, which is why I didn't want to be redundant. So I just kind of didn't plan on drafting it. And then like modern adapted winners, Moonlight and Call Me By Your Name, I think both should have been considered there. Lone writing nominees, I really like May December, obviously, and First Reformed was mentioned. I think 20th Century Women also deserves a little shout, Mike Mills movie.
That's on my short list.
I think also Wes Anderson has some movies there, Moonrise Kingdom, The Royal Tenenbaums, too, that I really like. And then I also had In Bruges here for lone writing nominee, because I thought maybe comedy would help, but I'm confident in my team regardless. In the international category, this is the one where I was talking about that there's just like so many movies that I would like to draft, if not for the fact that people don't watch them. The Battle of Algiers, maybe the like top 5 screenplay on my entire list. Not really going to go out of my way to draft that because I don't think it would get me votes. Not saying The Conformist will get me more votes, but The Battle of Algiers is really good, really topical as well, though it's a little bit more revolutionary in its politics than some of these other movies. But like, have to watch it if you're anybody who's interested in movies. My Night at Maud's the only Romer movie to ever get a screenplay Oscar nomination or any Oscar nomination, period. It was the only nomination he ever got. There's this movie called The Official Story, which I may or may not have talked about on this podcast before, but it is more relevant now, I think, because I went to see I'm Still Here recently in theaters, speaking of Oscar nominations. And when I got out of I'm Still Here, I was like, this would be an unbelievable double feature with The Official Story. So if you're somebody who is excited about the I'm Still Here Oscar nominations, I would strongly, strongly recommend that you watch The Official Story, which is very similar and also really damn good. Awesome movie. Y Tu Mama Tambien deserves a mention. A Separation, also great movie, deserves a mention. I think my podcast co-host Doug said that A Separation is just like Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but since you drafted it, if the people like Anatomy of a Fall, maybe go watch A Separation, I guess. And then in the blockbuster category, there were like a few that I was thinking about. Get Out was a big one, but then it got drafted. Jerry Maguire was another one I was considering. I was considering The Exorcist if I was going to pick a classic. And then potentially, if I was going to go modern, I would go in the direction of Little Women or the first Dune movie, both of which I think are great adaptations. But anyway, those are my picks.
Yeah, I think those are all great. I just added like 6 movies to my watch list, so
nice.
I appreciate that. That is great. Sophie, honorable mentions.
Yes, I had quite a few of those, but some ones that went unmentioned. In adapted, we took The Godfather last time, but not The Godfather Part 2. A movie that I kind of was alluding to earlier, Kramer versus Kramer, kind of the mother of Marriage Story. A movie that's really important to me, but yeah, I talk about it a lot. An original, Dog Day Afternoon, just saw a couple of days ago in theaters, which was awesome. The Apartment, as well as a screenplay I really enjoy. An international, I had pretty much like just Bergman, and Mike Leigh's Secrets and Lies is a movie that I watched a couple months ago, so included that as well. Yeah, I think those are the highlights.
Yeah. All good highlights. Original screenplay, I pretty much had what you guys had, like Citizen Kane, Dog Day Afternoon. I put Her on there, just to toss it out. Adapted, you guys mentioned Brokeback, All the President's Men, Godfather Part 2. I had The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I was like, oh man, I get my Lord of the Rings hive, which I am not part of, but I know you guys are out there. I respect it. I think it's cool. I just don't, more than that, I'm not really in on that. And then Argo. I put Argo on this list solely for the fact of Argo Fuck Yourself. I think is really cool to put that in a movie. That's pretty fun. For box office, I had a pretty short list. La La Land obviously on that list. The Wolf of Wall Street. I had The Incredibles on here. I thought that might have been a cool like left
yeah,
hard
I had
left
some
hand
animated
turn.
movies too. I had like Finding Nemo and Shrek.
Could have been cool. Could have been fun.
Yeah.
Obviously, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was strongly considering going with Top Gun Maverick, just for the fact of the office scene when he's like, "I'm not done and I'm not leaving," and I'm just like, movies have never been more back. My personal emotional connection with that.
This as well.
Oh, you had that on your list?
Yeah.
Wow, Top Gun Maverick stays undefeated. Kevin approved. Lone screenplay, I mentioned Nightcrawler. I had The Lobster on here. I had Borat on here, again, solely just for the my wife bit. I think that's done a lot for society, and I think that's important to recognize great lines. And I mentioned Lars and the Real Girl. The other 3 wild cards that I had, I mentioned all of them had started with the letter M. I picked Magnolia, but I had Memento on here. Obviously kind of I don't know, resurging a little bit with the continual Christopher Nolan Odyssey talk and the Guy Pearce, I guess, brutalist run as of yesterday that we're recording, maybe needs to find a better PR agent.
Wait, can I guess the last one?
Yeah, please. I have 2 more, actually. If you can guess these 2, I will automatically give you the win.
Well, does one start with an M or both?
Both of them start with an M. One is a 1 word and one is actually a 2 word.
One of them has to be Moneyball.
Oh, no, but I considered it. Great choice. Really good. I thought I wrote that down somewhere. So I will give you that one. I will.
Okay. That was my only guess. Continue.
Yeah, shit. That's good. Dang, that's really good. So Moneyball, we'll put out there. Michael Clayton, wanted to put that out there as well.
Nice.
Incredible screenplay. And then I mentioned Maestro earlier on the pod. I thought that would have been fun just to stick to my guns, my people, my hive. We're out here just trying to save Snoopy from the vestibule. That's all we try and do every day. Okay, guys, I feel really good about what we've accomplished here. And I'm just proud of myself for really reining it in the back half of my team. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, no problem.
Obviously, a huge thank you to Kevin for joining us on the draft. Thanks, man. It is always a pleasure to have you on. I think now you are the most guested guest. I think you've been on here the most.
Is this true?
This is your 5th appearance. I can't think of anybody offhand that's been on more than 5 times. So I think that crown is yours.
I would love to pump those numbers up whenever I'm invited to a non-screenplay related draft. I will, because sometimes I will say as a guest and listener, I do get a little bit jealous when I'm just the resident screenplay guy. Sometimes people do drafts and I'm like, I would have liked to be considered for that one, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'm unfortunately don't know your movie taste well enough to know like things you don't like.
Yeah.
And I was going to throw out like something you really don't like,
overstepping, you know? But
oh no, please. I told you I permanently lifted your permanent ban. It's just, it comes and goes as I see fit, really.
Right.
This is where we're at.
It'll depend on if I win this one.
Yeah, pretty much. If people want to find more of you, Kevin, where can they find you at?
They could listen to my podcast. It's called the Looks Like a Movie podcast, or you can find me at K Meeks Film on pretty much every platform with the exception of Letterboxd, where it is just K Meeks. If my movie opinions at all interest you, that's probably the place to be. The podcast I'm considerably more annoying on and a little bit less polite than I am here. But I would say it's a good listen regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recommend for sure. Obviously, it looks like a movie pod, friend of the Movie Draft pod. Kevin, when are we doing a super pod? Like, when are we doing a mega pod between us? We got to get all hosts from this, all hosts from that. I
will say my co-hosts are both competitive and also anti-movie draft a little bit. I would not anti your podcast,
just in general drafting.
Just drafting.
Games.
Like when we do
cinema,
games on our podcast, they seem to roll their eyes at the idea. Me personally, I love to draft movies. I could do this every week, but but they're not. Listen, if it was the right type of thing, if we could do like M. Night collaborative draft, something to consider.
Yeah, with 6 people, maybe we can all choose one film. Yeah. That would be great.
That might be a little bit difficult. I'm just thinking, I'm just spitballing. But yeah, I'm sure, of course. I'm sure we could do that some point.
Yeah, but look, we'll figure it out. I recently talked to Tyler Whitmore, friend of this pod, obviously, from the Real Talk podcast as well. He did mention to me he would love to be on a collaborative draft as well. So maybe we get the Kevin, Tyler, Sophie, Ethan, Ben collab. We just got to find a subject with enough movies. So listeners, if you have a subject that you want collaboratively drafted, throw it our way. We're on social media. You can find us. You can find Sophie and I on social media too, and let us know. Sophie, it was good to have you back. You are still the Chris Ryan of this pod, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Means a lot. Do you want people finding you on social media?
They can find me where they've found me previously.
Is there like some private account situation going on here? Have all of your accounts been locked up or what? Because this is like the second time this pod you've hinted at her lack of social media presence, which I feel like is not the case from my experience.
No. Look,
I be tweeting, I be logging movies on Letterboxd, and that's all I'm doing. So if you want to follow along, go right ahead.
Yeah. No, I always brighten up a little bit when I see Sophie come across the timeline. And brighten up a little bit when Sophie's on the Movie Draft podcast. As of now, you're not in the schedule to ever come back. So we should probably have a conversation about that. I don't know when
we should probably get that sorted. Yeah.
Should probably get that sorted. This is going to be the last episode of February. We do not have a March schedule yet because we are recording 5 days into February, but I know what a couple of them will be, and oh boy, they're going to be pretty fun, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you to Ben for lurking in the draft and nullifying this entire activity. It really means a lot. Thank you, Ben. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Movie Draft Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes will be released weekly on Tuesdays. We'll see you then.